He had some awesome Lucio plays in the last game, that's for sure. The Alexstrasza on Cursed Hollow wasn't played by anybody else other than Simplicity, and as we said, it was week 1, both of their series. They clearly had a game plan for Cursed Hollow, and it worked for them versus Space Station, but they did still lose with that to, or it worked versus Galeforce, lost to Space Station. We'll see if that's where they want to go. LFM banning the Grey Main, though.
Banning the Grey Main means that they don't have the priority for it for Draded. I would have ventured to say that the Grey Main with Zuna has not been his best hero at all. And there's a lot of reasons to back that up. And so it just happened to complement well with Hosty, I think, that game, and the team play. That means that they have high priority on potentially Hanzo or Tyrael. We saw them first pick Tyrael last game, not go into the damage, and then got choked out in terms of heroes. I got to imagine there's going to be a little bit different priority in this draft.
Well, Tyrael gives you the boss control, but Hanzo gives you the bosses themselves, as well as the other mercenary camps that he can provide. And we'll see which one LFM feels is more important to them and worthy of the first pick. Did we see Simplicity play very much Tyrael in their series versus Heroes Hearth?
I don't believe so. I know they definitely played it.
Yeah, they had the first pick 1 game, 2 games. So a little bit.
A little bit. So they go Hanzo, pass up on the Tyrael. But that does, by banning Greymane, you take away the Tyrael Greymane factor. You leave the Tyrael. I don't know if it's going to have as high priority. Again, coming into this weekend, post-Tyrael rework, his win rate is not good. We understand the strengths of Tyrael. Everybody understands the strengths of Tyrael, but the results are not there. Maybe it's just the familiarity factor of the newer talents, the rework, things like that. But in North America, I believe, coming into today, through the first 2 days here, 4-8, and then globally, it's worse than that. We're looking at a very subpar Tyrael win rate so far.
For Simplicity, this has always been a pick that will work out for them, though. Or it often does, getting their ETC, and they'll add Tyrael to that, too.
That's one way.
Yeah, it's a strong front line for Simplicity. Yeah, I believe that is what we were seeing them do, is Erho was shifting away more from the Leoric, the Dahakas, and playing a little bit more Tyrael, a little bit more Malthael, though his Dahaka was great last game.
Well, speaking of Dahaka, Gilly, there's somebody on LFM named Swabs Magoo that notoriously plays Dahaka and has had that banned out against them in certain games. They have 3 picks before the second ban. Is it a priority now?
I would think so. I would like to see it. It's so good for LFM that I think so. Dahaka and the Tychus too. I wondered if we would get Uther there, but instead LFM are a little more willing to save the support pick for later on, and they get their Tychus. Tychus has been climbing in priority for LFM quite a lot.
Yeah, and it's a strong hero. It definitely can help them out a lot. They get the Dahaka that they wanted. Hanzo, Tychus are 2 heroes that if they do get dove upon, you have the agility. You've got a lot of different ways to escape on Cursed Hollow because of the terrain, the structures. Tychus, of course, the Odin, good for poking. Also can interrupt Mosh Pit with his grenade. Dragon Arrow is going to be there. Dahaka hopefully on the flank. So they've got a lot of tools that when we looked at the strengths of their draft yesterday against Tempo Storm, they come out a lot in the first 3 picks here.
I wonder if Zuna's going to go into aggression this game. Like
melee aggression?
Yeah, more than the Greymane aggression of last game. I'm talking melee aggression. Especially with Tychus already gone, that kind of feels like it's been more of a Zuna pick. Other things is we've seen him play some double supporting. I just get a feeling, seeing the ETC, seeing the Tyrael, they'll already have a lot of company on the front line to add Zuna to that.
The Li Ming I would be okay with if they wanted to go down the mage route again.
Yeah.
You know, Li Ming on this battleground does do well, especially around the tributes. And the way Hosty played it last game, so I think that's definitely something to consider a little bit. And then, as you said, potentially complementing that heavy melee with Tyrael and ETC.
There's no Divine Shield to save you.
We'll see. The one thing I think we'll see from Simplicity when it comes to the global factor, though, is the same way we've seen a lot of teams approach this, is use Tyrael in the early game, pre-level 10, to be the solo, and then stage dive post-level 10 to be the global and the solo. So the phases of the game could look very different in terms of engagements. Jane is another player, another hero that they like to play.
It is. And she goes really well with that super melee aggression. they had Kerrigan Jaina in their series versus Heroes Hearth, and that's a combo that won them a game versus Heroes Hearth, so I don't blame LFM for kind of spotting that out, especially as she's going to be largely untouched with that front line already being there. Another thing I could see is maybe we see a Hosty Falstad as another global to try to keep up with Dahaka, in which case I think we'll see Zuna and Hosty be more on the back line than a Zuna flexing over.
The Falstad I'd be okay with, but you definitely need somebody that's got a bunch of punch in their damage. Tracer does answer some of that. Zuna last year made some Tracer plays that were pretty unbelievable. He didn't play it a ton last year, but there's definitely a few that stand out in memory to me. There was one on Sky Temple. I still will always remember the way that he dove behind all the way around the Giants on the bot lane. Just got to come like, that guy is brave. We'll put it that way. He's brave. I'm like, not too many people are willing to make that play, and he will be willing to make plays that you probably shouldn't be made. That's why sometimes he might not live in certain moments.
Put a K1 Pro regrowth on him. He can moonfire some people, and he's good to go. We'll see what that final pick is. I don't. Yeah, I think that is going to be a Zuna Tracer. I was trying to make sure and check to see if we'd had any Hosty Tracer yet, but we have not. Last 2 picks for LFM.
The Uther looks like a very good ban now because of that Tracer. So Rhaegar has been another highly prioritized hero. Brightwing.
Right.
Alrighty then. Brightwing gives you the spell armor when she gives you the pixie dust. Can also polymorph said target, try and get that up. So right now the combo will look a lot like, hey, let's polymorph the Tracer, because we know she's going to be diving, land the Stormbolt, try and use Hanzo and Tychus to take it out afterwards.
Yeah, you have the drag too, and that polymorph has that built-in 25% slow, which makes it a bit easier to make sure that you do get the follow-up stuns from that. Tracer will have her work cut out for her, but you add a lot of damage to this composition with whatever the last Hosty pick's going to be, and Brightwing will also be maybe having trouble trying to keep Simplicity off of them with the ETC, Tyrael, and Tracer.
Brightwing struggles in long fights, and you say that, well, she's got passive healing, and whenever you use the abilities and things like that, you can find ways to get healing. But most of the time, it's going to be Emerald Wind, which gives you more passive healing, but you don't have that blink heal. So it does scare me because I've seen teams struggle when it comes to the long sustain. So maybe something like a Lunar if you want to go down that way. But even Li Ming, as long as she's splashing damage, can really have a big effect too.
Nice thing at least is that Muradin, Tychus, Dahaka all have their, there is the Li Ming. They all have their own ways of self-sustaining, of having some tankiness built in. Hanzo has natural agility as a means of trying to escape, although Tracer should be able to chase him down, just depending on the positioning around that. And then Li Ming.
I just have to imagine that Tracer's Zuna. But he has played Li Ming, but I think when it comes to these style heroes, he's like, let me play. Let me be that player.
Yeah, it feels like the more that Simplicity can play this kind of style, where you have strong Airho, King Caffeine up in the front, Zuna is sort of flexing, right? Like, you never know where he's going to be. Is he going to be along with him? Is he going to be in the back? He's kind of all over the place. Hosty's not going to be touched. And as long as Hosty keeps playing the way he's playing, he finds openings for himself. And everyone else is kind of focused on everyone else. And that's going to be Tracer this game for sure, especially in seeing that Brightwing.
Li Ming's going to have free reign this game, and I think that's the part that scares me, especially after what we saw last game. So see how it goes.
Yep, you've got the 1 Pixie Dust, and you've got a whole lot of Li Ming damage along with that Pulse Bomb. LFM using Brightwing to try to get a win here and tie the series up.
See how it goes, as it will be Zuna on the Tracer, of course. See how that plays out.
That's a great Scanergy, can I just say. 10 out of 10. Sorry, you were going to probably make a very great an analytical point, and I had to just...
It was just my fear for hopefully he doesn't become over-aggressive.
Ah. So we do get Force Armor for Li Ming. Trying to help make sure that Hosty can stay a little more safe just in case all of the focus, all of the concern for Simplicity is more focused on that Tracer.
You know, Hanzo, we touched upon this previously. One of the best things to deal with Tracer is just standard auto attacks. She struggles against that.
That's true.
We do see Scatter Arrow build, and eventually you could go into boss races, into a lot of choke points here on Cursed Hollow. You get max value, you can stack this well. But when I see Tracer on the other side, I almost wonder why we don't see Redemption.
Yeah, that is true. I wonder if it's, well, I think a lot of it is just to have to do with this is the murking hero for the team. So they're a lot more focused on that. They have Tychus. He can try to chunk down with a minigun too. But it is an interesting change-up. The last time we saw a Hanzo versus a Tracer, we did see Redemption, and I think it worked out very nicely for that Hanzo player. There's also the tribute points. When we've seen, when we've seen Hanzo's build into this full scatter arrow build on the tribute points, it's just mayhem. Those things are going everywhere.
Nobody likes that. Well, we have the Siege Giants spawning here. Zuna and K1 Pro going to go over here and obtain this early. First tribute will be at the top, so they'll probably try and capture this early instead of saving it for that 3-minute mark. And then try and push, get some early structure advantage and try and find ways to capitalize. And maybe, at this point, LFM will try and split off. And get their own, I was going to say Murden, though, trying to sneak in maybe.
A little too late for the sneak in of stealing or slowing things down around those Giants. But it's Figgy, it's that Murden, and he can kind of do that. He's largely safe in those kinds of aggressive anchoring, checking out the position. Tychus is going to go start the Giants for LFM Esports. We'll see if anyone starts to make their way to the Bruisers past that.
They're looking for potential flanks in the top. Tracer's been sitting on this pulse bomb. They're going to try and find a target. Oh, the nice interrupt on the natural agility.
Incredible. Unfortunately for Simplicity, they do end up losing ETC as he was tanking a lot of those tower shots, but that interrupt was great.
I just kind of held my breath because I'm like, well, the pixie dust is there. I'm pretty sure he's dead. Then I look over at ETC and I'm like, well, I'm pretty sure he's dead too. So good play there to at least salvage some of that situation for Hanzo.
Yeah, it was, the power slide didn't hit either, but Airho was way more concerned just about making sure that natural agility never went off. And that was well done by him. But LFM, as you said, gets the salvage to make it a 1-for-1. Giants still in the top lane for Simplicity as they're grouping up, setting up to try to take this first tribute.
Now they're setting up. Malfurion just casually healing some Siege Giants here to keep them alive a little bit longer while the rest of the team kind of clears out. You also get the Tyrael shielding. A little bit of tempo strategy going there. Just use Tyrael and Malfurion, just enable the push.
Tyrael's going to start the channel. The longer that they're here, the more Zuna can try to get these early picks. Gets the pulse bomb down. He's going to go back and recall right next to T.
Yeah, T had used his grenade to interrupt the tribute. I'm sure he wishes he had that back there, but Swab's just missing out on the tongue. Simplicity looking to re-engage here. Zuna does get stunned there, but no follow-up just yet.
Now, Dahaka has been pulled up, but Hostian is leaming, staying in the bottom lane, trying to deal with those Giants and the minions. So Simplicity is taking a more reserved approach. The longer they can stall this out, the nicer it'll be. And King Caffeine's going to do that. He's going to risk going into Eldurin all the way around. Polly comes out. Zuna has some blink charges to jump back. King Caffeine starting to be chased down as LFM try to stall this out. And the longer they can do this, the better it is without leaming in the bottom.
Now, that is a very problematic thing to have here if you're LFM. They're trying to find a counter. Zuna just barely gets away there as he dodges that. But yeah, they've missed out on a lot. Shoutouts to Simplicity for playing a little bit different strategy in their macro here, Gilly.
Yeah, that was very well done. Li Ming finally got the minions onto the towers. She's being able to use those poking abilities to start bringing those down too. Finally, Murden gets here, but a lot of experience was lost for LFM in this bottom lane. LFM at least gets the tribute, but it can make further tributes problematic, especially when we're looking at one around 10.
See how it plays out. If we see maybe an early boss call to try and turn things around here, so the next tribute will be bottom left. The one thing Hanzo does well post level 7 with this build is to get those bosses and all mercenaries down rather quickly. Don't know if they'll make that play just yet. Waiting on the timer, should be any second now.
It's going to be bottom left, which is a good spot for Simplicity. 30 seconds till then. LFM have their bruisers. Simplicity will have theirs too, but LFM with that far earlier timing are using it to take down some towers too, and this helps to catch them up in experience before these are brought down.
I'd almost like to see them just try and stay in lanes. They need to get every ounce of experience they possibly can.
Yes.
Tracer and Tyrael were contemplating going up. Instead, they're going to make their way back down now that they do see more of LFM here. Dahaka staying in that top is going to be a crucial moment. They have to find ways to get experience back. Brightwing shifting in. Look for Tracer and them coming on the backside, though.
Arrow took a ton of damage from the lockdown there. He's going to take some time to heal back up. As it is, K1 Pro is on Malfurion. He uses the Moonfire with those regrowths and hits a bunch to help Arrow catch back up in the healing. Zuna in the back has the Pulse Bomb. It's on Figgy. Dwarf tosses away. Zuna still in the chase, though, as he goes for the parting gift kill. Doesn't quite get it. Now we're seeing the Polymorph be used on Arrow as he goes around the side. Huge orb lands on Drayden, and they are far, far too low in health to continue contesting here. LFM pushed all the way back nearly to their watchtower. Simplicity. Oh, it does. Yeah, they get their own tribute.
This is a scary time for LFM as they desperately need to get back an experience, and Simplicity has a short window, a small window, where they can try and force the action with level 10, which they'll have here momentarily. But with Tracer already on the Siege Giants, and we actually have a very short spawn time here for the tribute, so we should get ourselves a 10v10 here momentarily.
There is the level 10 for Simplicity. No mosh pit. We've got a stage dive. We're thinking for Tyrael.
I mean,
there's no cleanse.
We all love some judgment, but
it's the phase shield instead. Full phase shift build. Emerald Wind. Which yeah, not expecting anything differently there.
Judgment and stage dive, that's pretty scary.
Moonfire stop. He's sort of split from the rest of this team. Zuna dives in. Odin's going to be used for the armor, trying to make sure that T can stay alive as the Pulse Bomb went in. Sanctification shows us exactly what Tyrael picked as Brightwing gets taken out as the first kill in this fight. Arrow and Cap dive forward. Zuna just dancing around T in the backline as he takes down that Tychus.
We got a couple people that can jump over walls for LFM to salvage some of that, but they're going to turn their attention to the boss, Will Simplicity, and Hosty being a big initiator. Gilly with Li Ming just landing these shots and just kind of open it up for the team to just go in for the kill. And with Tychus going down, Zuna was a big part of that. We saw the phase shift in, giving a shield, giving some reveal, and the Odin was used for the armor. But the damage is done. It's making it tough for LFM.
Ooh, LFM are back. Isolation is used. The boss has not been claimed yet, but Muradin has fallen, and that should be enough for Simplicity to push the rest of LFM away from this point. With a second kill on Dahaka, things starting to fall apart a little bit for LFM in this game too.
It just feels like LFM is kind of missing a little bit in their draft. The Brightwing seemed forced because of the Tracer, and I think that they're struggling to play around that. We're also going to see a potential boss and a tribute call here. Yeah, Zuna's going to go ahead and start the boss. This is a great call. They'll have the tribute here, which will give them Curse. They'll also get 13 momentarily, and that does create a big snowball problem for LFM.
Yeah, that boss is going to be in the bottom lane. There's some Giants there for LFM that are going to be pushing, but for Simplicity to have that boss and maybe the Curse, so LFM are going to try this once again. If at first you don't succeed, this time use a Dragon's Arrow. Use Grenade 2, and Arrow takes some damage, but this Malfurion play from K1 Pro has been doing a great job of keeping everyone healthy.
It's keeping them healthy. You know, LFM made, this is not a huge desperation play, but they obviously realized they would get very far behind if they let this go. They used their globals to kind of hold the position. Wave of Force locks it down, and now Swabs is back on the backside. Stage dive coming in as well. Swabs goes down.
Yeah, the Toilet Dream set up that Pulse Bomb so well done by Simplicity. Now Figgy in danger as he falls. The Emerald Wind used. It separates Cap away from the team. This might be a place at least for one kill for LFM, and they do get it. Recall goes out from Zuna. Hosty's hoping for more, but the damage from Odin doing a pretty good job of being able to push back the rest of Simplicity. So here's what we've got. Simplicity fairly low in health after that team fight. They did lose their Tyrael, and LFM lost Muradin, but he'll be back up to try to help defend. The Curse is there. The boss pushed for a very long time in the bottom lane.
It did enough to get that fort down, and this is something for Simplicity. They've been making a lot of their plays based off macro decisions, and I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying their style. They're looking for a potential sidewall to see if they can make play or get some vision. You know, the fort will go down with a little bit of help from the minions, but you know, the top and bottom lanes are so pushed out. They've got themselves a 2-level lead, and LFM, they do have one tribute. If they had 0, this would be a very tough part, but the fact that they do have 1 gives them a long-term window that they can kind of fit themselves into, but they look to be a little bit more desperate than is necessary.
Yeah, they took some time in getting that Tyrael kill and whittling down a lot of those health bars for Simplicity. and letting the fort do a lot of damage to the giant, or to the boss, instead of LFM maybe allowing Simplicity with that boss and the curse play to push in and get a keep. LFM have been able to keep all of their keeps alive, and Simplicity had to instead just resolve to take that final fort in the mid. That still is giving them a large experience advantage. It's over 2-level lead, and they're going to try to keep that advantage going by stealing away the giants in the bottom. There's no keep, so LFM has some hope. They just need to try to catch back up.
Yeah, you know, it's not terrible, right? I say because they have one tribute, they'll have a couple of opportunities post-level 16 to get back into this. 16 will be picked up by Simplicity. Next tribute will be there. You give that up. In the meantime, you soak up some experience. They're looking for a fight pre-16. This is a very small window that you can kind of fit yourself into. Since Tracer's peeled off, they're willing to give that up. I like the call by Simplicity, but they'll just play 16. But for LFM, it's not bad. Right? You just soak lanes for the next few minutes, give up the tribute, maybe give up a second tribute. Just don't die, don't force anything. You have that first tribute. You get a second one, you can get the next one before 20 and contest for that third one. That's the timeline that they have to play within.
Yeah, things felt a little desperate around that top boss earlier in the game for Simplicity, but it's nice that LFM has felt like they've stabilized quite a lot in this game despite still being down. They are making calculated moves like the Bruiser invade to see if Simplicity would leave anybody there and if maybe they could get some kills to catch them up faster. But in not getting that, LFM still having all their keeps and still having the double global are in a great place.
The boss, I believe, should just be about a minute away, which will make another interesting call. 40 seconds, actually. You can see Simplicity. Again, it's up to LFM to just not die. And Simplicity with a little bit of a party bush, they're going to see if maybe there's going to be some vision, try and take that out. But I think LFM right now is making the right call to just stay back, let those lanes push out, come to you. That way you don't force yourself out. I say get 16, but Simplicity at the same point, it's up to them to not kill minions in the wave. Just let them stagnate and deny the experience from LFM even longer.
I got a little scared for Figgy there.
Yeah.
But he has Dwarf Toss. It still is giving them more time around this tribute with the wave pushing in more. So there's the boss.
I've seen teams in worse situations than this. I mean, it's not good, right? It's not where you want to be if you're LFM. And Simplicity could potentially get a keep off this, but you do have double global off LFM. Again, if they contest this, I want to say this might feel a bit desperate, and Figgy in position, I don't think he's going to try.
Yeah, I said great place, but it's more like having the two globals. At least you haven't already lost the keep there. At least you didn't lose a keep in the bottom from the curse from Simplicity. LFM still have opportunities to get back into the game. But Simplicity doing what they need to do too, right? They get that boss in the top. Can be looking to get the bottom one later on. They also were able to get that tribute. And LFM off to defend at this keep.
I'm surprised we don't see Odin out here, because as the boss gets stronger and stronger, Odin's here now. They need to just focus the boss. Your keep is gone. There's not a lot you can do. 16, you might get it off one of the next few minion waves. Stage dive coming out. But Simplicity's also looking to put the hurting on as well. If they get one pick, they could have snowballed that. LFM playing it well. Simplicity recognizing can't stay much longer. Good job by them.
Even slowing down Simplicity from being able to mount up using that Odin. I was surprised it didn't drop down faster too.
Yeah.
There's a couple of seconds of drop down time from that where you're not able to attack. But 16 now here for LFM. They've lost the one keep in top. They can contest that bottom boss. We've had a bottom tribute too. This is a time for LFM to get back out on the board.
Now, this is the timeline that they're playing within. It's one tribute to one tribute. They got that. They've done all the steps are necessary up till now. So is Simplicity by getting that boss. Open up win conditions, but Figgy in trouble on the front. Forces out Avatar. He's going to try and re-engage here. King Caffeine, Polymorph, Figgy. Dwarf tosses away.
Yeah, and the Dreaded using the Dragon's Arrow to slow down, stun a lot of Simplicity so that Figgy could live. Be able to start getting the healing back from Aware, as well as try to get that trait going. Dahaka's going to go to the mid to soak. Nobody's going into stock at all, or nobody's going to stop K1 Pro, including the stock. LFM feeling like they had taken too much damage there and used a lot of heroic abilities. The Avatar, the Dragon's Arrow. So now they're going to head back out, get some mercenary camps. But that bottom boss, they got to keep an eye on that. That's why we're seeing Figgy down there.
Yeah, they definitely have to keep an eye on it. Again, the timeline has played out perfectly for them, is that the next tribute should spawn before 20. That's basically their last desperation attempt to come in. Beyond that, it becomes much more difficult, right? So Simplicity right now, they're going to hold on as best they can. They've got a tough road as well, but they do find themselves ahead. The double global for LFM working out. Next tribute, though, Gilly, in favor of LFM. However, that boss could be obtained while that tribute is given up, and then Simplicity plays boss 20 rotation.
Yeah, but LFM are the ones who have the global for that tribute, which is spawning in about 20 seconds. So if Simplicity makes a move for that boss, which they're hanging around here, they're keeping a lot of LFM here.
Zuna lurking around is the biggest threat here. They'll need to make sure that Brightwing is ready on that Z key to find the prime target, whoever Zuna decides to dive on. That is your biggest threat if you are LFM. Aware and Tahaka are actually going to two-man this because they know ETC can stall out one at a time. They cannot stall out two. He'll grab this, look for the globals to potentially move in.
Tribute taken, fort down in mid, helps LFM slightly in catching back up to Simplicity. The sands of the hourglass are ticking down for LFM until that 20 for Simplicity.
If it wasn't for Holy Ground, I mean, they might just try and force the boss, but I don't know if they can pull that off. That is the hardest part about this situation. We have a short timer on the tribute. That favors LFM. And 20 is close, but Bida is spawning quickly. That is a huge minion wave. So LFM, if they're going to get this fight here, Gilly, they're going to have to execute quickly.
They're going straight for the tribute. They have left the boss point, vacated it. 10 seconds until it spawns mid, clearing out. Simplicity near to 20. The Global's desperate to get LFM to do the same.
20 is not...
I don't think they can get this in time.
20 is not full loss, right? It just makes it more difficult. The level of difficulty goes up fighting down 20. Figgy just getting shredded on that front line. Repulsion again, just like on BOE, and Figgy goes down.
Yeah, Twilight Dream used too, and with another repulsion, more resets. Hosty chasing after T as well. With the 20, Simplicity have had enough staving off their aggression. They head straight in and get those 2 kills traded. Heading back 50 seconds until Tychus is back with the Odin. The Aware are going to use Emerald Wind, but Airho going off of one side. King Caffeine jumping in after another. Now Brightwing's in danger. It's slowing down Simplicity, but it kind of feels like delaying the inevitable, Jayhound.
Delaying the inevitable is correct as Hosty comes in, gets himself another kill. 3 members down with a curse. There's no need for that boss that just spawned. They're going to walk directly to core. You know, LFM did everything they could to come back, but major props to Simplicity for recognizing every step of the win condition that they had to take. They played it perfectly. I mean, that is just picture perfect play in the late game for Simplicity on not taking the wrong fights, finding their opportunities, and playing incredibly well. And Hosty, by the way, blowing people up.
He's been doing a lot of that this game. Blowing people up, throwing them around with his repulsions. For Simplicity, I think that the point that you made about their drafting has been, it was an awesome point to make. Simplicity in the first game, they prioritized after seeing the 2 range damage dealer bans, focused on making sure that they got more of the range damage dealers. And then in this one, being able to have somebody who is again aggressive for Zuna, even though they weren't able to get the gray main, they still were able to show great tracer play, and Hosty doing the same thing as before. For LFM, they got to figure out how to stop this for Simplicity, and it feels like a lot of that comes down to the draft.
I think a draft is a big part of that. It just seems like they're outthinking themselves, you know, and that's a tough part. By the way, Zuna, 6 kills, 0 deaths that game. Obviously showing that he's more than capable, just, you know, just brushing that little shoulder off. But a good plays there, Simplicity all around. And LFM, again, a big part of that, as we just talked about, the draft has to be a major focus for them going into Game 3.
LFM seemed to be able to figure out what to do versus Tempo Storm as a way of getting through their aggressive draft. So maybe we'll see after this, or using this break, to see if they can make some changes. We're going to go to a commercial break, and when we come back, we'll have Game 3 between LFM Esports and Simplicity.